The ocean was calm that night. Waves moved slowly under the moonlight. Fishermen in small boats drifted quietly, unaware that something massive was falling from the sky. Something not human. Far above Earth, hidden in the blackness of space, a ship shaped like a silver whale slowly moved toward the Pacific Ocean. It made no sound. It had no heat. No satellite could see it. No radar could track it. This ship belonged to the Thalkai, an alien race that lived in oceans across the galaxy. They believed water was theirs, any water, on any planet. When they found Earth, they laughed. "This planet is perfect," one Thalkai leader said. "More ocean than land. No challenge. No defenders. We will take it with ease." But Earth's oceans were not empty. The Thalkai entered the water gently, just north of a deep sea trench. They released machines into the dark waters, building bases and scanning the ocean floor. They moved fast, setting up sonic fences and energy towers beneath the waves. Humans had no idea what was happening, at least, not yet, but something in the deep noticed them. 3 days later, a U.S. Navy submarine named Seeker 1 was sent to investigate strange signals in the Pacific. The crew thought it was just a faulty cable on the ocean floor. They were wrong. As the submarine moved deeper, lights flickered. Sonar screens showed something large below them, something moving fast. "Is that a whale?" one crew member asked. "No. It's too big," said the captain. "Too deep." Then all screens went black. The crew heard a deep, slow sound. Not a crash, not a roar. It was like a growl, as if the ocean itself was angry. They saw nothing, but they felt everything: the pressure, the fear, the cold. Moments later, Seeker 1 vanished from all contact. No signal, no mayday. Just gone. Back in the alien base, the Thalkai didn't care about the missing submarine. They had seen many human machines. To them, humans were weak and soft, landwalkers who didn't understand the sea. One Thalkai diver swam into a trench to place a power beacon. He moved through the dark water with ease. He had done this 100 times on other planets, but this time felt different. His lights began to flicker. Then he saw it. 2 golden eyes, huge and glowing, staring at him from the dark. He froze. The water around him shook as if something massive was moving. He tried to send a warning. His signal never reached the base. His camera went black. No one ever saw him again. At a coastal naval base, human scientists were now concerned. Their ocean sensors were picking up strange energy spikes. Creatures were moving in patterns not seen before, and submarines were disappearing. Dr. Elena Marlowe, a deep-sea expert, looked at the data. "This doesn't look natural," she said. "This isn't just ocean movement. Something is down there, and it's reacting." "Reacting to what?" asked a Navy commander. She paused. "To something it doesn't like." In the alien control room, the Thalkai leader reviewed the missing divers footage. All he saw was darkness, then 2 glowing eyes. Then the feed ended. He clicked his claws slowly. "What creature was that?" he asked. "No record," said his officer. "Nothing matches in our data." "Then this planet is hiding something." He stared at the ocean map, at the trenches, at the deep. "The humans don't control the sea," he said, "but maybe something else does." Back on the surface, a fisherman from a remote island told a local reporter something strange. "The sea is angry," he said. "The fish are gone. The water is quiet. I heard a voice under the waves. It told me to leave." The reporter laughed. "A voice?" The old man didn't smile. He looked toward the ocean. "It's awake," he whispered. In the final scene, deep beneath the waves, something massive moved through the darkness. It was not alien. It was not human. It was ancient. And it had just opened its eyes. Darkness filled the ocean trench. The Thalkai base sat hundreds of meters below the surface. Its glowing lights lit up the deep water like a floating city. Alien engineers swam in and out, setting up machines, planting sonic towers, scanning the seabed. They thought they were alone. They were wrong. Inside the command dome, Commander Velnar of the Thalkai studied a live sonar feed. Lines flickered on the screen. Movement, his officer said. But it's strange. What kind of movement? Fast. Big. Then it disappears. No heat. No sound. Velnar frowned. Shadow currents, maybe? The officer shook his head. No, Commander. It's like the water itself is watching. A small scout team was sent out. 3 Thalkai divers armed with plasma cutters and motion sensors. They entered a deep trench just beyond the base. The deeper they went, the darker it became. Their lights showed only rocks, sand, and silence. Then they heard it. A sound, not a roar, not a growl, but a low whisper, like a voice, calling from the deep. One diver paused. Did you hear that? Hear what? It said, leave. I heard it in my mind. Don't be foolish, the leader snapped. No creature speaks our language. The whisper came again. This time louder. Leave. The trench shook. Sand exploded upward. A shadow moved, huge, fast, and unseen. Then the signal was lost. All 3 divers were gone. Hours later, inside the base, panic spread. The scouts never returned. Their locator beacons were found, ripped in half. Velnar studied the recovered footage. Only a few seconds played. Lights flicker. A black shape moves fast. A sound, like a deep, slow breath. Then the camera shatters. Velnar stood in silence. These oceans are not empty, he said quietly. Something old lives here. Meanwhile, far above the ocean floor, humans were also listening. Project Abyss Watch, a top-secret program, had picked up the same whispers. Their sonar buoys recorded strange frequencies, low, long sounds that didn't match any known whale or machine. Dr. Elena Marlowe listened closely. The sounds weren't random. They were repeating. They were a warning. In a classified meeting room, she spoke to the Navy commander. There's something in the trench, she said. And it's not just a creature, it's intelligent. Are you saying it's communicating? Dr. Marlowe nodded. Yes. And it's angry. At the same time, a cargo ship sailing near the Pacific Trench sent out a distress signal. Something just came up from below, the captain screamed. Over the radio. It knocked our engines offline. I saw eyes, golden eyes, staring right at me. Then the radio went silent. When rescue teams arrived, the ship was still floating, but it was empty. The crew was gone. No signs of struggle, just wet footprints, too large to be human. Back at the Thalkai base, Velnar made a decision. Send drones into the deepest part of the trench. I want answers. His officer hesitated. Commander, if this creature is hostile, then we find out what it fears. As the drones entered the darkness, their lights showed only empty water. Then one picked up movement, something far, far below. The screen flickered. A shape began to rise. Big, long, covered in scars. Golden eyes opened. The drone feed ended. Velnar stood still, his voice calm but cold. Ready our weapons, he said. We are not alone in this sea. In the closing scene, we see a map of Earth's oceans, quiet, blue, still. Then, one by one, red warning dots appear across the map. From the Mariana Trench to the Indian Ocean to the Arctic Circle, something is waking up everywhere, and it remembers who rules the deep. The ocean was changing, ships were vanishing, drones were going blind. Sonar picked up massive shapes moving deep underwater, but nothing ever stayed on the screen long enough to identify. It was like the sea itself didn't want to be seen. Inside a hidden military base under the U.S. coast, a dark room lit up with sonar maps and alert screens. This was Project Abyss Watch. Only a few people on Earth knew it existed. They had one job: watch the deep. Dr. Elena Marlowe sat in front of an old file, one marked Leviathan, Unknown Sea. Entity. We've seen this before, she said, tapping a black and white image of something enormous underwater. We detected it 17 years ago. It moved across the ocean floor without leaving a trace. The Navy commander stood beside her. I thought we agreed it was just a myth. Elena shook her head. It was never a myth. We just hoped it would stay asleep. At that same moment, the Thalkai aliens were building deeper ocean bases. Their scanners now showed large, fast-moving creatures nearby, but no clear visuals. Commander Velnar reviewed the footage. He saw fast blurs, waves shaking, light vanishing, drones crushed like toys. He pressed his claw on the table. We thought, this planet's ocean was wild but empty, he said. It is not empty, and now, it is angry. Back on land, a secret submarine arrived at the base. Only one person survived from the last mission, the first human to see the deep creature. His name was Lieutenant Ray Walker. He sat quietly in the debriefing room, face pale, hands shaking. What did you see? Elena asked him gently. Walker's voice was low, almost a whisper. It wasn't a fish. It wasn't a whale. It was something else. He looked up, eyes wide. It was bigger than anything we've ever built. Bigger than a battleship, covered in old scars, eyes like gold fire. Elena leaned forward. What did it do? It looked at us, like we were nothing. Walker paused. Then, it disappeared, but not before it growled. Not a sound, a vibration. It rattled the sub, like the ocean itself was warning us. Meanwhile, across the world, strange events were happening. Fishermen found giant teeth in their nets bigger than shark teeth. Satellite photos showed waves moving in strange patterns, like something swimming far below. In the Indian Ocean, a deep-sea cable was pulled apart like thread. Dr. Marlowe stood before a global briefing. This thing has moved. It's not alone. And it's sending a message. She tapped a sonar map. It's circling the Thalkai base. Inside the alien base, Commander Velnar watched as their outer sensors stopped working. A cold silence filled the water outside. No sound, no movement. Then, boom. A power station exploded, walls cracked, water rushed in, screams echoed through the halls, and then silence. When repair teams arrived, they found the outer section of the base completely destroyed. No blast, no fire, no wreckage, just gone. And one wall had a deep claw mark across it. Velnar stared at it. We are not at war with humans, he said. No, one officer replied, but something else, something from this ocean, has declared war on us. Back. On land, Dr. Marlowe gave the Leviathan file to a military tech team. If it's awake, she said, we have two choices, fight it or talk to it. The commander laughed. You want to talk to a sea monster? It may be our only chance, she said, because if it sees us as enemies, she looked toward the dark sea outside the base window. We won't survive. In the final scene far below the surface, we follow a camera drone drifting into the dark. Nothing is visible, only silence. Then, golden eyes open in the black. They blink once, and a voice, deep, ancient, not human, echoes across the sea. You have trespassed. The war had begun, but not between humans and aliens. Something older, something deeper, had entered the fight. The Thalkai aliens were ready. Their underwater bases now covered large parts of the Pacific. They had built towers that could bend water pressure. Their weapons could tear through rock and metal. They believed no one could stop them. They were wrong. On the surface, humans still didn't fully understand what was coming. At Project Abyss, Dr. Elena Marlowe looked at a growing sonar map. Strange shapes were circling the Thalkai base, fast, huge, and silent. They're closing in, she said. But not on us. They're going after the aliens. Why? Asked a Navy officer. Elena looked out the window at the sea. They're defending their home. At the alien base, Commander Velnar watched his screens flash red. An energy tower was destroyed, then another, then silence. Report, he shouted. Unknown attackers. Too fast, too strong. A Thalkai warship turned its lights toward the trench. Something moved below, huge and glowing. Golden eyes, then claws, then destruction. The warship was gone in seconds. On land, military bases in Hawaii and Australia picked up the signals. Underwater, shock waves, deep roars, massive power loss in alien sectors. "What is it?" asked a general. Elena answered, "It's not us. It's them, the Leviathan and its kind." But the Thalkai didn't retreat. They attacked. From the sea, they launched tidal cannons, weapons that created artificial waves. Entire human coastlines flooded. Ships were crushed, ports destroyed. Cities near the ocean panicked. The world now saw the alien threat, and the world responded. Human submarines launched counterattacks, but most failed. Alien weapons were too advanced. In one battle, 3 U.S. subs went silent in under 10 minutes. The ocean was not safe for anyone now. Then something changed. A Thalkai command ship sent out a call for backup before help could arrive. The sea below it opened. A dark shape rose, massive and slow. It had glowing scars, giant fins, and ancient golden eyes. Leviathan. The command ship fired. No effect. Leviathan opened its mouth and let out a deep sonic roar. Water pressure around the ship exploded. Metal cracked. Lights shattered. The ship broke in half and sank into darkness. Project Abyss Watch received footage from a surviving drone. When the video ended, no one spoke. A tech officer whispered, "It saved us." Elena nodded. "No, it saved the ocean." But peace didn't follow. The Thalkai, now desperate, activated their main weapon, the tidal core buried deep under their base. It could shift tectonic plates, create underwater earthquakes, destroy coastal nations. Commander Velnar gave the order. "If we can't rule this sea, we will break it." Back on land, Elena and the military rushed to stop it. There was only one hope. They would need Leviathan's help. But how do you ask a sea monster for aid? Elena looked at the glowing sonar pulses. "It already knows," she whispered. "He's not protecting us. He's protecting the sea. And that includes us. For now." In the final scene, the ocean is calm. Too calm. Far below, the tidal core begins to glow. Power builds. Alarms ring. But from the shadows, Leviathan rises again, and this time he's not alone. Other shapes move beside him, bigger than whales, older than time. The deep has answered, and it's ready to fight. The ocean was no longer silent. It growled, it shook, and it fought back. Deep below the surface, the tidal core pulsed with power. The Thalkai, angry and afraid, had activated it. This ancient alien weapon could tear open Earth's crust, flood continents, drown cities, and break the balance of the planet. Commander Velnar stood above the control ring. "We came to conquer this world," he said. "But now, we will remake it." His officers looked nervous. They had seen the Leviathan. They had seen what lived in the dark. But Velnar didn't care. "Let them come," he hissed. "Let the sea try to stop us." Far above, in the human base, Dr. Elena Marlowe watched the data stream in. The ocean floor was heating up. Small quakes were shaking underwater trenches. Something terrible was coming. She turned to the Navy commander. "They've activated a weapon we don't fully understand," she said. "If they fire it, millions will die." The commander nodded grimly. "Can we stop it?" Elena looked at the sonar screen. Golden dots were appearing, then blue ones, then red. Something was coming. "No," she whispered, "but they can." In the deep, Leviathan swam forward. His massive body shimmered with bioluminescent light, scars glowing like stars, and behind him, more shapes appeared. Dozens, hundreds. The deep kind had awoken. Some had long, serpent-like bodies. Others had shells, the size of stadiums. Some looked like ancient whales with armored skin and glowing fins. They had all been silent for thousands of years. Now, they were one. One purpose. One enemy. The Thalkai. The Thalkai sensors picked up movement. Too many signals, too fast, too strong. An officer panicked. "Commander, we're surrounded. The trench, it's full of them." Velnar stepped forward. "We are warriors," he growled. "Fire everything." Torpedoes launched, sonic spears fired, electric nets spread through the water. But nothing stopped the deep kind. They hit the alien base like a wave. Walls cracked, lights died, towers collapsed. Leviathan himself smashed through the defense grid with one powerful strike. Back on land, Elena stared at the footage coming in. It was chaos, but it was also beautiful. The sea, once quiet, had become a battlefield. And for the first time in history, humans weren't part of it. They were watching Earth fight for itself. In the trench, the tidal core began to glow brighter. The countdown had started. If it reached 0, the oceans would rise and the planet would fall. Velnar gave one final command: activate the pulse. But just as the energy beam began to rise, Leviathan surged forward. He wrapped his massive body around the core chamber, roared, and then he dived straight into it. A shockwave burst through the water. All systems went dark. The tidal core vanished. The alien base cracked in half. Water rushed in. Alien soldiers screamed as the pressure crushed the tunnels. Only a few ships escaped. Commander Velnar, wounded but alive, stared at the ruin of his empire. "This planet fights," he whispered. For hours, the sea was silent again. Elena watched the monitors. No movement, no sound, no Leviathan. She lowered her head. He stopped it. But at what cost? Then, ping. A single sonar signal, soft, steady, then another, and another. Shapes began to appear on screen. The deep kind were swimming away, back into the dark, and at the center, Leviathan, slowly rising, alive, watching, protecting. In the final scene, we see the ocean from space, blue, vast, peaceful. But far below, golden eyes open one more time, and a voice, deep, calm, ancient, echoes across the water. "The sea is not yours." It never was. The war in the deep was over. But not every Talkai was gone. Some had escaped. And one of them still had a plan. Commander Velnar floated inside a damaged escape pod. His armor was cracked. His left eye was blind. But his mind was still sharp. He looked at the Earth map glowing before him. His empire had fallen. His army was destroyed. But he was not finished. "We came to conquer," he growled softly. "Now I will destroy." His escape pod reached a hidden alien outpost buried under the Arctic Ocean. This place had one purpose: final protocol. A last weapon, something the Thalkai had created long ago, but never used. Velnar had nothing left to lose. He walked into the frozen chamber. Inside was a glowing black orb, alive with energy. Frozen tentacles wrapped around it, and inside something pulsed. Not machine, not beast. Something worse. Velnar placed his hand on the orb. "Wake up," he whispered. "Earth must burn." Back on land, Dr. Elena Marlowe monitored deep-sea frequencies. At first, everything seemed quiet. The deep kind had returned to the dark. Leviathan was no longer near the surface, but then a signal. A pattern. Sharp. Cold. Unnatural. Coming from the north. She called a meeting with military leaders. "There's another base," she said. "We missed it. It's under the Arctic." "What's happening there?" She showed them a pulse. "Wave, it's not just technology. Something alive is in there, and it's waking up." In space, a satellite picked up a hole opening in the ice. From the center, something flew upward. Dark, fast, and not from Earth. It wasn't a ship. It was a creature. Made of metal, bone, and black mist. Its wings stretched wide across the sky. Its body twisted like smoke. It flew low over the sea, then vanished into the clouds. Velnar stood at the edge of the Arctic base, looking up at the sky. He smiled. "The deep ruled the ocean," he said. "Let the sky be mine." Project Abyss Watch sent aircraft and drones toward the Arctic zone. Most never returned. One drone caught a brief image before it was destroyed. A sky shadow with glowing red eyes, and behind it strange marks in the clouds, like cracks in the sky. Elena stared at the image. That's not just a weapon, she said. That's a rift. A door. One of the officers leaned forward. A door to what? She whispered. To something that was never meant to enter this world. Meanwhile, Leviathan stirred. He felt the sky's pain. He felt Earth shiver, and he began to rise again. But this time, and he wasn't going alone. From the deep trenches, the deep kind gathered again. They would leave the water. They would rise to the surface. Because now, Earth's final battle was not in the sea. It was above it. In the final scene, Velnar sends a final message. To all humans, and all who live here, you had your chance. This world is not yours. Prepare for the skyfall. Thunder cracks, the clouds swirl, and something massive begins to fall from above. Not a ship, not a bomb, but something alive, something old. The sky was broken. A rift had opened above the Arctic, and something terrible had come through. It wasn't a spaceship. It wasn't a storm. It was a living shadow, with wings like torn clouds, eyes like fire, and a roar that cracked mountains. The Thalkai called it Zalzorak, the Sky Reaper. Velnar stood beneath it, smiling. This world rejected me, he said. Now I will watch it burn. Zalzorak answered with a scream that echoed through the skies. It was not Thalkai. It was older, a creature the aliens had once feared and locked away. Now Velnar had freed it. From space, human satellites showed a hole growing in the sky. Not just a cloud, an opening to another dimension. From that tear, more shapes began to come, smaller sky creatures, sharp, fast, deadly, like flying knives with minds of their own. Earth was under invasion, this time from above. At the coastlines, cities saw fire falling from the sky. Birds vanished, planes disappeared, clouds twisted into strange shapes. People began to panic, and deep below, something else began to rise. Leviathan. He swam upward through the ocean currents. He felt the pain of Earth, the fear in the air, and he knew it was time. He broke through the surface near Alaska. Water flew into the sky like a tower. Ships rocked in the waves. But Leviathan did not come alone. One by one, the deep kind surfaced. A creature with crystal armor and tentacle limbs. A giant sea serpent that glowed with electricity. A shell beast with spikes like a mountain. A whale dragon with wings of glowing fins. The ocean was no longer silent. It marched to war. Dr. Elena Marlowe stood on a battleship, watching the creatures rise. They're here, she whispered. Not for us, not for power, but for the planet itself. The Navy commander turned to her. How do we fight something that can tear the sky open? Elena answered. We don't. They do. In the sky, Zalzorak flew low over the sea. Wings blocked the sun. Its scream sent waves across the ocean. But Leviathan didn't flinch. He rose high from the sea. He opened his mouth and roared, not in anger, in challenge, a warning. The sky would no longer go unanswered. Then the battle began. Zalzorak dived. Leviathan charged. Air clashed with water. Lightning cracked. Winds screamed, and earth shook. The smaller sky creatures swarmed toward the deep kind. But the ocean beasts fought back. They leapt from the waves. They used pressure blasts, sonic howls, electric shocks. It was a war no human could have imagined. Not land versus land, not nation versus nation, but sea versus sky, nature versus invader. In space, the rift pulsed again. A second tier began to open. Elena saw it on the screen. If more of them come through, we're finished. But one of the Navy techs pointed to the sonar. The deep kind. They're heading toward the rift. Back in the sky, Leviathan coiled around Zalzorak midair. The sea monster used his body like a giant whip. He struck the Sky Reaper hard. Wings cracked, black mist sprayed, but Zalzorak screamed again and bit deep into Leviathan's shoulder. Blood the color of light spilled into the clouds, but Leviathan didn't fall. He roared one more time and pulled Zalzorak into the sea. Final scene. Storm clouds twist, lightning flashes, the sea turns red, and gold Leviathan dives deep, dragging the Sky Reaper below, and the last thing we see is the rift in the sky beginning to shrink, because Earth is not helpless. It has guardians, and the deep is still rising. The sky had burned, the sea had risen, and now Earth would give its final answer. Leviathan dragged Zalzorak, the Sky Reaper, deep into the ocean. The sea boiled from their power. Storms spun across the globe. But below the surface, a final war was being fought. In the dark depths, Zalzorak twisted like smoke and steel. It clawed at Leviathan, tore his flesh, screamed with sound that shattered coral walls. But Leviathan didn't stop. He used his massive tail to slam the creature against stone pillars. The deep kind gathered around. They didn't fear the sky anymore. They fought together, and the ocean began to push, back up above. The second rift in the sky opened wider. More creatures were trying to come through. Velnar stood at his Arctic control tower, still alive, still hoping for victory. He sent one final message to all human systems. This planet will kneel, or it will fall. But then, something appeared in the sky. A blast of light. Golden, bright, ancient. The rift stopped growing. It shook. Then, something rose from the ocean. Not Leviathan, but a new force. A light-bound deep kind, massive, glowing with Earth's own energy, a gift from the planet itself. It flew upward, born of water, made of light, straight into the rift. Inside the trench, Leviathan still battled Zalzorak. His body was torn, his light dimmed, but his eyes burned. He opened his jaws one last time and roared. A roar so deep it reached space. A roar that shook the rift above. A roar that reminded the stars. Earth is not yours. Earth fights back. Elena Marlowe watched from the control room. She saw the sea glow with golden fire. She saw the rift in the sky collapse in on itself. And then, silence. The ocean calmed. The sky cleared. The storm passed. The alien signals stopped. The deep kind vanished, sinking back to the dark where they belonged. The Arctic tower exploded. Velnar was never seen again. His dream of conquest died with him. Earth had won, not because of weapons, not because of armies, but because the planet fought back, and the humans, though small, stood their ground. Days passed, then weeks. The oceans healed. The skies returned to blue. Ships returned to sea, and Project Abyss Watch placed a small marker on the map. Leviathan Point, a place of honor, a place of memory. In the final scene, far below, in the dark trench, a shadow moves, a huge shape. Golden scars still glowing faintly. One eye opens. Calm. Watching. Protecting. Because Leviathan never left. He sleeps now. But if Earth is ever threatened again, he will rise, and Earth will roar once more.